Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you learn all the ways to grow their firm, sharpen their skills, and have consistent increasing sales. I cover topics such as detaching from the emotional side of the sale, having paradigm shifts in the most important part of your business, which is the nucleus of your accounting firm, sales, and how to see an objection really as an asset and stop giving away your time for free for those that don't deserve it, so you can actually get paid your value and your worth and grow your top line revenue. You'll learn tips, sales strategies, as well as hear from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly the blueprint on how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. I hope everyone had a lovely holiday and a lovely New Year's Eve. Today is New Year's Day, and I just wanted to wish everyone a happy New Year's Day from the Abundant Accountant family to you and yours, and wishing you all a prosperous new year. And today we have a very special guest here. Our special guest is a CPA and partner in Behind the Scenes Financials, where she runs the show year-round with her husband and handles all of everything during tax season and throughout the year. She's also a QuickBooks wizard, a national speaker, and a top 100 pro advisor who believes accounting firms should ditch the stuffy rules. After passing the CPA exam back in 1981 and briefly loathing the accounting industry, she rebuilt the profession on her own terms with her firm, with her husband, tech-savvy, client-focused, and fun. And you'll definitely hear that today in our podcast. Our special guest is also a violin-playing, yarn-chasing grandmother who still teaches QuickBooks like a rock star. And yes, she met her husband on the internet. But before we welcome her to the show, if you are drowning in low-value client work, or you're dreading another busy season, and you know that means long nights, endless emails, and barely any time for your family, and you're constantly stressed or exhausted, wondering if this is just how things should be, the truth is, none of that is the real problem. The real problem is that you just don't have a system to convert your ideal clients into premium paying clients. You're not maximizing your revenue, and you don't have a path to gain back your freedom. Here at The Abundant Accountant, I'll show you the exact system that's helped hundreds of firm owners eliminate AR, finally enjoy their firm again, and work the hours they want to work without ever having to chase down paperwork or payments from a client ever again. So if you're ready to stop trading time for dollars, go to theabundantcall.com and book your complimentary strategy call with me and my team. We'll look at your current setup, we'll uncover your biggest revenue blockers, and we will lay out a roadmap to create the firm that you have always dreamt of having. Once again, head on over to theabundantcall.com. And now let's welcome our very special guest, Debra, to the show. Welcome, Debra, to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here and taking out the time to join us today here on the Abundant Accountant podcast. I've already done your intro, but I always think it's better to come directly from the source. So for those that don't know you, I would love it if you can just share briefly a little bit of who you are and the successful practice and firm that you have.
Well, my name is Debra Kilsheimer, and I have a practice here in Port Orange, Florida. And Port Orange is known for two things. One, it's where Ryan Lochte learned to swim, the Olympic swimmer. And it's where Eileen Wuornos, the female serial killer, was arrested.
Oh, my gosh.
So, and it's a little town just south of Daytona Beach and north of New Smyrna Beach. And I'm in partners with my husband, who does all the income tax, and I do everything else. And I always like to say I could do income tax, but if I did, he would do nothing. And we've been at this for 23 or 24 years now.
Wow.
And, we met on the internet because I wanted a boyfriend, put an ad in the internet back in the day. And he answered, and I said, well, what do you do? And he goes, I have my own accounting practice. And I'm like, Oh my God, he's probably as dull as dishwater.
And was he?
No, I mean, I swore when I went on this mission to find somebody to go to the movies with that I would meet everybody because, a lot of people look good on paper and then you meet them and they are
Hmm.
stinko, just like clients. They all sound great
Yeah.
when they call you and then you meet them and you go, oh, this guy's a jerk.
Yep.
So I said, I will meet everybody. And I met him and I just really liked him. He was decent, kind, nice, everything you look for in somebody. I just liked him. And, he had a tax and accounting practice, and I was working at a big law firm teaching computers to attorneys and their staff, and they had offices all over the country. And I loved that job.
Hmm.
I had, passed my CPA exam back in 1982, I think it was. And I remember it was April 16th, a Friday afternoon, 1982, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we were exhausted. And I looked at the clock, 3 o'clock, and I said to the boss, could we go home? He goes, no, I pay you to sit there.
Oh
I
my
thought,
God.
I cannot do this for another 40 years, waiting for Friday at 5 o'clock. I just can't. And
Yeah.
I looked down, I was looking at a Mary Kay sales director's tax return. And she was making like 4 times what I was making. I'm thinking, I'm a big time CPA. She sells makeup and she's making more money than me. She's happy all the time. So I called her and I said, Valerie, I couldn't help but notice how much you make. Can you show me how to make that kind of money? I said, I'm not in sales. My mom was a gym teacher. I don't even know how to put makeup on at all. She said, well, can you read? I go, yeah, I passed the CPA exam. She goes, well, then I can teach you. I said, okay. So I went to a Mary Kay sales director meeting and I went, oh my gosh, these people are happy and they're going to teach me how to do it.
Yeah.
So I became a Mary Kay beauty consultant of all things. And 2 weeks later, I walked into my boss's office and said, I quit. I never want to do this again. This is a horrible profession.
Yeah.
Nobody likes you. You work 6-minute intervals. I had to keep track of my time. I hate that was the dumbest
Yep.
thing I'd ever heard of.
It's a law
I
firm for you.
awful. So and we always were looking backwards. And I remember I took a part-time job once at a CPA firm, and I walked in and I said, "Where are the computers?" "Oh, we don't have computers here." "Why not?" I go, "Well, because we wouldn't charge the clients as much." "What?" I thought this profession stinks.
Yep.
So I quit being a CPA. I thought this is awful. I hate this job. Now I grew up in an accounting family. My dad was a business manager, and he would show me how to do tax returns in the basement instead of playing ball with me. So I was always around accounting. I mean, I kept. Some people keep scrapbooks of what they do.
Yeah. Yep.
I kept canceled checks. I
I
could
love it.
through my canceled check. Oh, I remember where I was when I wrote that check. That's how I kept track of my history. So I was always around that. And so I quit being a CPA. I thought this is terrible.
And I think that's really important to bring up because that's what we're going to transition to today is like how much you hated the profession and how things were ran. And I think a lot of firm owners struggle with how they run their firms, especially on the sales side of things and the pricing and everything else. And like you said, now you are running the firm with your husband, and all he does is execute the work, and all you do is run the show with 2.5 people. But I think this Mary Kay position has something to do with it. So why don't you carry on and share with us? You quit your job after 2 weeks, and you told the Mary Kay person that you can read and that they were going to teach you.
And she did. She
And
said exactly what to do. Just like
mm-hmm,
when I became an accountant. This is how you do this and this is how you do that.
mm-hmm,
So I did everything she asked me to do. And there was a consultant's guide and I followed it. A year later, I had my first car. I drove the pink Cadillac. I got the mink coat. I got the Bumblebee. And 10 years later, I said, okay, I want a new challenge. That's when personal computers came out. So I started to do newsletters for Mary Kay sales directors. And that was very successful because personal computers were coming on. And I always loved the computer. And then I got a job at this law firm, and I thought I'd be there for the rest of my life. And then they did away with my department one day. They came in and go, well, we're doing away with your department, so we don't need you anymore. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? What was a month prior to that is when I met Hal. And I called him up and I said, I just lost my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. He goes, well, you're a CPA. Why don't you work for me till you find something? I said, only if I can run a CPA firm like I think it should be run. No hourly billing, flat rate prices, thinking forward, be progressive, use all the technology that's available, talk to your clients about what they can achieve, not what did happen in the past. He goes, good, I like tax. You do everything else. And I said, great, I need this program called QuickBooks. And he goes, what do you need that for? Just can't you use Excel? He was one of these cheapo accountants, And my birthday was coming up. And he goes, well, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, oh, would you buy me $1,000 piece of jewelry? Now you have to understand, I am not a girly girl. He would have liked a girly girl. And he goes, absolutely, I would buy you a piece of jewelry. Let's go to the store right now. I said, well, it's your lucky day. I want to be a QuickBooks Pro advisor, and that only costs $500. So, he goes, you want that? I go, yeah, it's my birthday. I should get what I want. And he goes, okay. So I became a QuickBooks Pro advisor. And that year I hit 6 figures. And I said, see, it paid for itself. And so from then on, he was smart enough to know that I kind of had something, I knew what I was talking about. So I always ran the firm like that. I never tracked my time. I always would talk about clients about what they could become through their accounting. Kind of like, I live near Disney World. So I always noticed when you call up Disney World and you want to go, I want to go to Disney World for a vacation. How much will it cost? And they don't ask you, well, how many rides you going to go on? How many ice cream cones you going to eat? How many times you going to ask the staff where the bathroom is? And I thought, but that's what we do as accountants. Well, how many bank accounts do you have? How many transactions do you? How many times are you going to call me for questions? I mean, how glamorous is that? So I thought, I'm going to price like Disney. I'm going to create an experience for them and a transformation. So I always ask my clients from the beginning, well, what do you want to do if your business could succeed beyond your wildest dreams? What would it mean to you? Well, I can help make that happen. I said, I always use the Disney store. I said, there was 2 guys. And the one guy comes home one day and he goes, I'd like to build a theme park. And the other one looked at him and goes, all right, let me help make that happen. That was, of course, Walt Disney and Roy Disney. It wouldn't have happened. Roy was the visionary. Walt was the visionary. But Roy was the accountant behind the scenes. It would not have happened without Roy. Mm-hmm. So I tell my clients that. You're Walt and I'm Roy. Let's build your theme park. What do you want it to look like?
I love that. And I think that's one of the unique differences and how you've created this really successful firm that I think a lot of firm owners, need to be hearing this story today, because yes, you start at 6 figures. I think, your firm, has done over $1 million in revenue in the last year, and you're only at 2 people,
2.5 people. I have a part-timer. Yep.
Right.
And she works remote. She's totally remote.
Love it. So it's you, your husband, and a totally remote person, but you're creating a different experience. You're creating this experience, like you had mentioned with Disney, of what do you want your business to look like? What would be your ideal transformation if things could change? And I think I love your Disney analogy. And if you can share what you say to clients when you're like, okay, you're Walt and I'm Roy, right? Because you're the accountant behind the scenes.
Yep. And they get the analogy. So then I talk to them about, well, what is it you vision for yourself? What's important to you now? If you knew you could not fail, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? Well, I'd like to spend more time with my kids. I like to travel. I like to, whatever they want to do. In every part of their life, they transition. When they're young, they might want to save for a new house. If they have a new baby, they might want to save for college. When they get older, they might want to retire. So we're with them along the whole path. And how are you going to do that? And let me help you. So we do a subscription pricing. We have one flat rate. I have 2 prices, $850 and $1,500. And I raise my prices every 2 years, just like Amazon does. So I say, okay, your price is going up, and this is all the new things that we're doing for you. Just like, and I thought about that a long time, and QuickBooks goes up in price and and I thought, instead of listening at, well, QuickBooks has just gone up in price, it's costing me more money. I thought, well, let me flip it around. And I thought, if I tell them all the new things QuickBooks now offers, they might not use any of it, but it's there. Just like if you look at Amazon when they raise their prices every 2 years, here's what now you can have as a Prime member. We ship internationally, and you might not ever use that. You go, oh, but I get this in my subscription. So, it includes pretty much everything they could possibly want. Now, if there's something that I don't do, like I don't do audits, so that's not included. Just like if I was a general doctor, GP, I wouldn't do open heart surgery. So if I don't do it, it's not included. But if they want bill pay, we can add bill pay. If they want receipt management, add that. If they add more bank accounts, it's covered. And then when the 2 years comes up, price goes up. Here's all the things we've added since the last time we had a price increase. And they go, oh, okay. Now, what goals have changed for you? And I don't get much pushback. Of course, nobody likes a price increase, but I said, well, you are certainly welcome to go somewhere else. We're not.
Well, I think that's why is you're so detached from the outcome that you're okay with if someone wants to leave you. It doesn't faze you, it doesn't bother you, and that's completely okay. And once we become detached from the outcome instead of desperate, you're a 180 degree, Debra, from desperate, right? And people, when you're desperate, they sniff that. But when you're confident and that you're okay, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is why, and this is everything that I've been doing for you, that's a very different conversation.
Yes. And I know I have a lot of people come in when they first sit down. Oh, gee, the girl down the street, they charge $250. I said, well, you're welcome to go there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, well, I like you. Well, I charge $1,500 for what you want. Oh, okay. They find the money. And people say, well, they can't afford it. I hear that a lot of times from, my colleagues. Well, they just can't afford it. Yeah, they can. See where they're spending their money. If people find the money they think is important to spend it on.
Right. And how do you explain that from the firm owner's perspective? Because I always share that with my clients and, similar thing. You can't make a decision for your client based on what you think they can afford just because you can see their numbers. But you can also see their numbers and be their guide, and you can see all the money that they're spending that maybe they shouldn't be spending money on.
Exactly. I remember I had a girl come in here and she, wanted to use my services and, and she also wanted to pay for her little kids' kindergarten, which costs $500 a month. Mm-hmm. So we connected her to QBO. We downloaded all the transactions. And what do I see? Every day, Starbucks, $10, $20, $10, $20. Yep. And I said, Michelle, if you just would have your own pot of coffee, you could pay for everything. So you have to decide.
Yeah, what's more important?
Exactly.
Do you want someone to manage your books and accounting and everything else?
And send Vinny to kindergarten school?
Right.
Or do you want to get coffee every day? I said, it's not the little things that trip people up. It's the little things that trip people up for, and if you ever run into a fraud case, people don't steal $1 million from a business all at once. They steal it $1 at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is where we can start to watch where your expenses are going. And another thing I hate is when clients go, I just can't afford it. What expenses can I cut? I go, okay, let's turn off your electricity. Or let's stop paying for your insurance. Let's let all your staff go. Well, I can't do that. I said, right, you don't have an expense problem. You have a pricing problem. Let's look at your pricing. Well, people won't pay it. Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. So let's figure out a way. I had a restaurant. He did that with me. And, I said, you have a great restaurant. Your staff does not leave. The people like it. The people like going there. I said, the problem you have is your cost of goods is too high for what the price. I mean, I look at it, it's 50%. It should be 33. I said, yeah, but they like coming to they will complain if I don't give them the food. I said, get smaller plates. They won't realize the portions have shrunk down.
Yeah, it's exactly what's happened everywhere in the country.
Yeah, so get smaller plates. So he did. And all of a sudden, his profits started to go up.
Yeah.
He goes, that was a great idea. I said, well, I'm full of them. Right. So.
Well, but that's what they're paying for in your subscription model. I'd love it, Debra, if you could share, because I know there's a lot of firm owners that want to move to subscription, but don't really know how.
You just do it.
I love your attitude because, I speak the same way, but maybe you had a different thing for a firm owner that might have heard it from a bunch of people here I've had on the podcast and other firm owners.
What do they say to you? I can't because my clients wouldn't go for it. I said, the thing is, it's scary. And I think we put our own fear in the way.
Right.
So a lot of times I would say, well, write down, what if you did this? What's the worst that could happen?
I like that.
And okay, what if you did it and you lost every single client? And they go, I go, yeah, but the good news is if you lost every single client, you could start over and get better clients.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well,
exciting to me.
but you see the world very different, Deborah, from many firm owners, right? So you have to think about the traditional or typical firm owner. That is really scary. That is really frightening.
And it's
The
the way they've
thought,
always done it. I mean,
yeah,
and I remember I had a conversation with a CPA, and he just moved to QBO, and he heard I knew QBO, and he goes, "We just moved to desk from QBO to desktop," and I said, "Okay, well, what's the problem?" "Well, I can't put this on the invoice, the time I track to
yeah,
and I said, "Okay, well, so you track your time." I didn't even go into that. I said, "All right,
oh
so
god,
what do you do on the invoice?" "Well, I then see how much time I spent, and then I decide what I'm going to charge him."
yeah, it's like a
I,
total waste of time and
I said, "So
totally
why did you
backwards,
track your time?" I mean, if
right?
you're going to make up a number anyway because you think that's what you can charge him, why bother tracking your time?
Yeah.
It was silence on the other end of the phone. "Well, that's just how we've always done it."
And I
"Well,
think
maybe you
that's
should
what
think of
most
changing
firm
it."
owners,
Yeah.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
think it comes down to like how they operate when they're doing their sales process with their firms, right? You get paralyzed by the thought of tracking your time. You get paralyzed by the thought of your upcoming sales call. You freeze up. This guy, he just was tracking time to waste his own time coming up with a price and then we'll freeze up even to say the price to a client. And then we'll probably send a quote or a proposal and then wonder why they're ghosted and they just disappear on them. And that's the traditional firm owner mentality
Well, I have an
versus,
answer for that too. If they ghost you,
yeah,
this is what you say to them. You write one sentence email to them. "Have you given up
on
on
this
working together?"
opportunity.
Yes. And that's
Yeah.
all you do is you send it. In fact, I taught that at QuickBooks Connect one year. And I said to everybody in the audience, "Now get out your phones." And they all got their phones out. I said, "Okay, how many of you have clients that have you've not heard from? They're on the prospect list. You'd like to work with them, blah, blah, blah." Oh, they all raised their hand. I said, "Okay, you're going to send them an email. And this is the only thing you're going to say on it.
In the subject line only, nothing in the
That's it.
body.
That's it.
Yep.
Have you given up on working together?" And send it. And they all froze. I go, "Well, what if they say no?" "They've said no already. You just don't know it."
Right. Because they ignored you.
Exactly. So send it. So a
Yeah.
couple of them did. One sent it right then. She raised her hand. "I just got a response."
That's so funny.
"Really? What happened?" They said, "Oh, no, I haven't." And they tell you why they haven't done it or whatever. And one guy came up later. He goes, "I did that, what she said, and I just signed the contract for $7,000. I'm like, "Great. I mean, it works." Now, if they say no, at least they're off the list and you can go find someone else.
Correct. You don't have to
And
wonder. You have to eliminate the
exactly.
wonder and eliminate that. Yes. Deborah, have you read Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference?
That's where I
Yes.
learned it.
Okay, great. Good. Love it.
That's where I learned it. So I'll give
Love
him
it.
all the credit.
It's definitely a book that every listener should listen to. You can listen to it on Audible or you can buy it
Yes.
on Amazon, but this is
Yeah, never.
probably
It's called Never Split the Difference.
correct. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and it is scary because you become firm. I mean, you become like confident in your ability. Like, "I'm really
Right.
good at this," and then they will buy your confidence. And
They
if you
do.
don't know
And
something, yeah,
that people buy confidence and certainty.
right.
That's
And if you
actually what
don't
they
know
invest
something,
in.
they'll ask me questions all the time. "I don't know if I can do that. Let me see if I can't figure it out." Like, I had a guy call me just the other day. "Can you help me with this report? I got to do this and upload it, blah,
Hmm.
blah." And he goes, "What would you charge me to do it?" I said, "Well, I'd probably charge you $2,000. I said, "Tell you what, if I can't do it, you pay me nothing. That's a deal."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, get a Zoom call." I log in. So he could not figure out Zoom. So he did it on his phone and he's holding the phone up to the computer. So I can't, okay, I'm going to have to tell you where to click. And then I finally got the report and the data I wanted. I said, "Okay, export it to Excel." And it said he did not have an Excel license. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, now what am I
Oh
going to do?"
God.
And I said, "All right, copy the data. Now go to Google Sheets." "What's Google Sheets?"
Oh
So, I
God.
mean, we're setting the whole thing up, So we finally set it up, and I got it going. I told him, "Okay, click up there. See, it says share. Put my name in there. Now I have it. Let me play with it." So I actually got the data, fixed it, did what he wants, and then I sent it to him this morning, actually. And I go, "Did it work?" "Oh, it uploaded like a charm. Now I have to do 23 and 24. Great. Send me the QBD backup file with the admin password so I don't have to do this other shenanigans stuff. And I'll send you a secure link to send it to me." And he goes, "This was great." I go, "Okay, where do I send the invoice?" So he goes, "Send it here." So, but I had a guarantee that if I couldn't do it, you won't pay.
Yeah.
He had nothing to lose. So I do that kind of stuff. And I think, I've made mistakes, underpriced or, goofed up or whatever. But that's where I put that as to my education.
Yeah, that's
You
part
know,
of your investment in your education.
yes.
Yes.
Yep. That's where I
Your
learned. Well, I'm not
mistake.
going to do that again. It's kind of
Yeah.
like asking some friends, how are you? And they tell you, oh, never going to ask her that question again.
Oh, that's funny. um, Deborah, I want to go back into the client experience because I think that's one of the things that you've really created an amazing experience and talking more on this Disney stuff. So other firm owners can really, really grasp the uniqueness of if they treated their firm like Disney and going into the full client experience, if you can maybe give us like, your first three things you would tell a colleague today if they were to change your client experience, because the fact that you're doing 1 million in revenue with 2.5 people, a firm owner, it is amazing. And a firm owner listening is probably like, there's no way, that sounds too good to be true. She's lying, all these things, right? They're going to,
I was at GrowCon and I said that and they all looked at me. I went back to the room that night and actually broke it down. How many 1040s, 1120s, cast clients we have, cleanups we did, average price of each to get to the numbers. I said, here are the numbers. And it really, I don't do it for the money. The money follows.
yes.
Which is funny. I don't worry about the revenue. It's like, I remember when we hit the million the first time, Hal walks in, he does the tax and he goes, do you know how much we sold last year? I go, no, I just give you we did over $1 million. I go, really? Wow. I don't do it for the money. The money follows when you do what you love.
Well, and doing what you love, but creating a client experience is what has people paying you what they pay. Because that's like step one of having a good sales process, is having the client experience. So what would you say is the thing that you implemented right out of the gate about the client experience to create this Disney-like scenario?
Well, I think the big thing I do is I'm always happy. I'm always happy when a client calls. I mean, I always pick up the phone with a smile on my face.
That's very Disney, actually.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to talk to a puss face, and if I had a client call one time and I was, stuff was just coming at me all the wrong time. And I was a little short with her on the phone and I hung up the phone. I said, I was just really short with her I called her back and I said, Tori, I have to apologize. I really shouldn't have picked up the phone when you called because there was too many things coming at me. And I apologize for being short with you. Could we start over? I'm sorry. I had too many things. She goes, oh, thanks. I mean, who does that? I would apologize to my kids I thought I was a little too mean, so I said, well, shouldn't have done that, Peter. I apologize. And they see that you're real and stuff. Doesn't happen often. But if you do that, apologize. And I was a little short in the email. Didn't mean that. I came across as harsh. I mean, I think that's important. But I do, every time they call, I always try to have a happy face. Gee, thanks for calling. What's up? What's new with you?
Yeah,
and,
no, I love that.
They'll tell you, these are people. I mean, everybody says you're business to business. No, these are people.
No, you're in the
to
people business. Yeah,
Yes.
you're in the people business, not in the business.
Right. So find out about them. I just had a client, they were in Italy for like a couple of weeks. So I said, okay, pictures. So, they send me pictures. I have another client. She just had a new grandson. Okay, pictures. Of course, I'm not a big baby person, but she sends me pictures and I Google and goggle her. Oh, he's so cute. He's, and, that kind of stuff. How's that new grandchild doing? I mean, talk to them as human beings. Remember, I send them birthday cards. Who does that? I sent them an anniversary card when they became a client. It's your 5th anniversary with us. Thank you so much for your business. I can't just see where we go in the future. That kind of stuff. It's like, wow, it's silly stuff. But just think of what you would like instead of being so, quote, professional.
Yeah.
If you have to call up and tell them something's not good, I keep in touch with them, because I try to flip things on their head. At the end of the year when they have to pay tax, They go, I don't want to pay any tax. And I said, well, there's a way you can get around that. I said, oh, how? What's the secret? I said, well, we're going to look at your profit near the end of December. And whatever that is, I will create an invoice for that exact amount. And you can pay me your profit and then you'll have no tax. And they go, what?
Oh,
You wanted to pay no
hilarious.
tax. I mean, so we're going to have to add your expenses. So this is a great way because I'll pay the tax. I'm okay with paying the tax. And they go, but then I'll have no cash. I said, well, you said you didn't want to pay any tax.
Right.
So if tax is only a portion of the cash, so what we need to do is we need to better handle where we are during the year and get into with how for more tax planning so we can minimize your tax. Oh, all right. So I tell them the idea. In fact, when they sit down with me the first time, I go, now, if you're here to save money on taxes, we're the wrong firm for you.
So that sounds like that's part of your client experience. How does that tie into when you're thinking about Disney, right? Like the first thing, you answer the phone with a smile. I think that's really important because many firm owners are skipping that part. They're
Yes, and
too
what happens is
annoyed.
they go to voice. I mean, how many times do you like it when you get picked up? Please press 1 for this, 2 for that. I remember when I had my daughter's 41 now. When I found out I was going to have her, I knew nothing about babies, nothing. I never played with dolls, nothing. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a baby. I don't know what to do. So I called around to different obstetricians and I picked the one who was the nicest on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, wow, I picked the doctor because of the receptionist. Not because the
Yeah.
doctor was any good, but because the person that answered the phone
Yeah.
was the nicest to me. She didn't think that I was stupid or silly for getting freaked out. She goes, that's all right. Well, whatever she said, I don't know, but I picked them. And I thought, that's what I want. I feel when they pick up the phone to call an accountant, it is a scary process because they're asking for help. They've been told that this is easy. Accounting is easy. Anybody can do it. You should be able to do this because they think it's all just writing checks. And they finally get a mess and they call up. They never call when the books are in good order. I've realized that. And I said, well, thanks for calling. Why'd you pick it up? Why did you call me today? Well, because I have to get my, whatever the reason. I said, well, you come to the right place. Well, how much do you charge? That's always the next question they
Yeah.
ask. I said,
That is.
well, let me ask you a question. May I ask you a question? Yes. Are you picking an accountant solely based on price? Because if you are, I'm the most expensive person you're going to talk to today. But I'm also the best. So you have to decide if you want the best or do you want cheap?
Mm-hmm.
And I get quiet. Oh, I want the best. Well, that's me. So let's talk. But what do you charge? I said, well, let's find out what you want. I might not even be able to help you. You
Right.
start taking it away. So, I said, let's come over and have a chat and see if I can help you or not. If the worst thing that can happen is I've made a new friend, I can always use friends.
Yeah, and you can
Oh,
always get a
yep,
referral. You never
yep.
know.
So I come over and make that happen. And, I just let them talk. And a lot of people, well, I limit my talks to half an hour meeting. If they want to talk to me for 2 hours, I let them. Because you're building the relationship in the beginning. They're getting to know who you are. So I just sit there and
So true. Yeah.
I just let them talk and tell me everything that's going on and tell me about your family and why did you start your business? What is this about mowing lawns that really got you excited? And I like mowing lawns. I said, well, did you ever think about it? I said, you don't just mow lawns. You make people's homes beautiful. You make people feel good. When they come home from the end of the day, they walk in and they come to, wow, my lawn looks great. You relax them. I never thought about it like that. So I talk like that to them. By the time you get to the end, they don't care what you charge. They want to sign up.
Right, because you just felt that you let them feel heard, understood, listened to, and all those things
Yeah, because
typically.
I did learn in Mary Kay that they do not care how much you know. They do care how much you care.
I preach that every day, Deborah. I love that. They do care about how much you care.
That's right. And they'll pick that up. They'll see if you're real or sincere. And the thing is, everybody, well, I want to be just like you, Debbie. No, 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 no. You have to be the best you. You're second class me, but you'll be the best you and find what makes you tick. What would you like? I always put myself in the position of a customer. What do I want as a customer? I want to be heard, like you said. I want to be made to feel important. I think everybody has that sign, make me feel important. I don't want to be felt stupid. I think a lot of times they feel stupid because, we talk in accounting terms.
Yeah, I call it a techie jargon or accountanese. You need to remove it and pretend you're talking to your kid at Disneyland. What would they have? Ride, fun, money, candy, piggy bank. Yeah.
all that stuff. I mean, what's funny because when Hal talks to him, he talks in accounting talk, and I sit there sometimes and I watch their eyes glaze over,
Yep.
and they won't say anything. And I said, "Did you understand one thing he just said?" Because I didn't. They go, "Hey, look, I didn't." I said, "This is what he meant." They're like, oh,
Hmm.
you know. So he just looks at me like, "How come?" I said, "You have to explain it like they're people, not like they're, that they don't know what you know, but and they see that he's brilliant at it." But I talk to him
Sure.
like people, and I think that's a secret. So I do that. I mean, and I talk to him like that throughout our whole relationship. Glad you called. What's going on? And then if I see something wackadoo in the accounting state, in the financials, I go, did you just mean to do this? I mean, what is this for? I see something happening here. I look at trends a lot. I see sales are going up. We might need to get more people. Have you thought about that? Let's talk about, you have a lot of turnover. Let's discuss, how you're treating your employees, because that's a big expense. I don't think people, I hear all the time, people don't want to work anymore. I don't believe that. I think that management treats people poorly.
Which makes
So
them not want to work anymore.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's management, because I have a lot of restaurants who do not have any turnover. And then there are other
Wow.
restaurants in the town who the staff walks out. And I go, it's not the staff, it's you.
Yeah, it's
You
the
treat them,
leadership. Yeah.
it's leadership. So, let's talk about that. And, you celebrate their wins and you cry with their losses. And, I had a client call up the other day, and, he said he's been with me a long time. And he goes, "Well, I've decided to bring in an in-house accountant, so I probably won't need you anymore." And I said, "Eric, you have to decide what's best for your business. I still love you."
Yeah.
"Oh, you just make it so easy." I said, "But you'll be back, Eric. This is the fourth time you've done this for me." "I know. I always try you." I said, "But I'm with you wherever you need."
Totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't burn bridges. If they don't, if they go, if I want them to succeed, I would say my goal is to have you outgrow me.
Mm,
So you have
love
your
that.
own huge accounting department that you can employ in house. The goal is to make you as big as you want to be. And I said, and bigger is not always better. I mean, a lot of times people will say, "You only have 2.5 people," and I go, "Yeah, but I don't want more staff. I just don't. I mean, I like having 2.5 people."
Yeah.
I had more staff at one time, and then I found I was doing more staff work than accounting work. I like the work,
Hmm.
and so I thought, what do I need more people for? I mean, what would I do with $2 million? I can't spend it now. So I didn't,
Yeah.
I just,
Less,
yeah,
less,
I
less
didn't
to
need it.
manage. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
we always stay at this level, and I'm doing a whole lot of new things. I have my own YouTube channel called Bookkeepers on Fire with my friend Donna Reed, and we have
Love
fun
it.
doing that. And we just went to the Scaling New Heights conference, and I got all excited about this new product called oh God, Puzzle, which is total AI based. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the new frontier. So I thought,
Yep.
oh, this is okay. I see such possibilities. I mean, because nobody, I mean, I thought if now I can go and really start to talk about AI, and because nobody knows what it is, nobody knows what's going on, and start to get these people in the beginnings, because the younger people,
Get it.
they get the AI stuff. They
Yes.
want the automatics thing. So I go, okay. So I thought I'm going to go out and start to go to Rotary clubs and Chamber of Commerce and start talking about the AI and where accounting is going. And you can be an early adopter and get on this puzzle stuff and have it all done electronically, so you can get the insights into your business, so you're not, and 2 weeks before you have to go see your
Hmm.
tax guy, having to add up all your receipts. That's no fun.
Yep.
And see what happens with that. I think it's where the whole world is going, and I'm very excited about that. And
Love it.
so I just see such possibilities. I love doing this job. I just think accounting makes a difference in people's lives when they feel comfortable where their finances are. They can relax and they can be Walt and build their own amusement parks
Yeah.
how they want to do it.
And I
So
think that is the takeaway from today is how can you as the firm owner go build your own Disney park within your firm, and how can you be Walt and or your client be Walt, you be
Walt, yep,
Roy.
and you be Roy.
Yep. And execute and always answer the phone with a smile on your face and exude the confidence that you've gotten, Deborah, and just, listen to Never Split the Difference on repeat or read it and make these changes, because you can also have a firm doing the same amount of revenue with 2.5 people or less, especially with AI around the corner and utilizing it in and implementing things, you can do more work with less time and figuring it out. You just have to figure out what's for you. So thank
And
you so
that's the
much,
scary
Debra.
part. Yep, you're welcome. This was a real joy. I love talking about this, and always hope to inspire other accountants to think
Yes.
bigger.
Yes.
That you can make a difference in people's lives just through accounting.
Yeah. I think you have been an inspiration. I mean, you're not a spring chicken, are you?
No, I just turned 69.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're 69, you've got your daughter's 41,
My
like,
son is 38. I just have a new grandchild. It's going to be 7 months old on Friday.
yeah, go hang out with them, enjoy your life, and keep rocking.
We have a condo in Marco Island. We're going down there tomorrow for the fourth holiday. We have another condo in New Smyrna Beach, and
Love it.
we can work anywhere with this remote stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, this is a great job.
I think you've been an inspiration for many, and I just honor you and thank you for taking the time to be here with us.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you all so much for joining Debra and I today on another amazing episode of the Abundant Accountant podcast. Boy, that was fun, right? If you need to get the book that we were discussing, it's Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss. He's the author. So again, Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss. And then also, I recommend you think about how do you want to create your firm to be the Disney version. Because of her energy is how her revenue is shining. She picks up the phone with a smile. She runs the sales of her firm. Her husband has nothing to do with it. They've split that task completely. And what if you could work with dream clients? The ones like her that respect her time, pay what she's worth. They don't ghost her. They don't miss paperwork or payments. What if that could become your reality? Like this month. What if that could become the reality right now? What if you could multiply your revenue, trim your work week down to 4 days, spend more time on the weekends with your family or grandkids, instead of being stuck working 16, 18-hour days? This is not a fantasy like Disney. It is actually a framework. And I've taught hundreds of firm owners just like you how to do it. So if you're ready for a firm that feels fun, profitable, and in alignment with the life that you want, then let's talk. Head on over to theabundantcall.com, book your complimentary strategy session with me and my team, and let's design the Disney firm that works for you, not the other way around. Once again, theabundantcall.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.